Hey, sup guys, Psych Guys back at it again. Alright, I am really excited for this episode, very stoked. Why? Well, it's about a YouTuber, actually his video's probably one of the many out there that's going circling around. Very popular topic at the moment. Yeah, the YouTuber Onision. Very controversial YouTuber, and when I say controversial, I don't mean that his videos are controversial per se. It's just that his personality, his persona, allegedly there's been a lot of accusations, allegations about his own personal life, which I'll get to more in my video later. But yeah, that's what sort of heightens the controversy about him and why there is a lot of videos, a lot of talk about him. So without further ado, let's go and watch it. So Onision is an old school YouTuber that has been posting videos since about 12 years ago. I want to say back around the time when YouTube was born. His content style is more personal blogging comedy with a twist of satire. The video that really took him to internet stardom was a video that he posted in 2009, exactly 10 years ago, where he was dressed up as an adult-sized banana costume, and he's seen jumping around dancing, and in a repetitive and rather mundane fashion, singing that he's a banana. This single video entitled Banana Song went viral and took off, even being featured on back-in-the-day popular TV shows such as Tosh 2.0 on Comedy Central. Now this video to this day has garnered over 76 million views. And it's any wonder how many of those views are actually from people clicking on it after recently finding out about him and his story of accusations of abuse and child grooming, which I'll get more into in a little bit. But he's been dubbed to many as YouTube's bad boy, the most controversial YouTuber, and he's faced his fair share of controversies along his tenured career. Now before I really jump in and give you viewers my in-depth psychological analysis on Onision and explanations for his behaviors, I want to disclose that even though I'm a double board certified psychiatrist, Onision is not my patient and I have not personally interviewed him to be able to formalize any official working diagnoses that I believe he may have. I mean, even if you were my patient, I could not be able to disclose any of his private medical information as per the federal laws of the land, most notably the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act that prohibits me from doing so by rightfully protecting patient confidentiality. So again, the last thing I want is anyone thinking that I'm entering into a patient-provider relationship and diagnosing the gentleman. However, what I can say is that these are my suspicions and thoughts on the case just upon an external audit review from reviewing already publicized public records and other such information that has recently surfaced, especially this past year. You know, truth be told, this case was really not that difficult to figure out the probable psychology behind Onision. He desperately tries to come across as some sort of pseudo-intellectual who's some sort of complicated philosophical enigma, when in reality he's very simple to analyze. In fact, I was able to figure him out easily in 1 minute and 45 seconds as he unconsciously exposed himself in that Banana Song video. Keep watching this video because toward the very end I'll tell you how I was able to figure him out in just under 2 minutes. But going back to what I was saying earlier, Onision really isn't that difficult to figure out again, though he wants you to think otherwise. Just on the name alone, I don't know what his YouTube name Onision stands for, if it stands for anything, but it is my own opinion that he purposely chose this name because it resembles close to that of the word onion, i.e. the personification that just as in an onion, he possesses many layers within to be peeled. But in reality, there's only one layer, the layer of grandiosity. Onision is an individual who, before his YouTube fame, he ran this website between the years 2004 to 2006 called Siska. Now on this website, he acted as if he was some sort of know-it-all deity who had answers to various topics, including the meaning of life, human origin, our purpose, outside worlds, you know, those kinds of things. But what was even more troubling was that it was a very popular website and almost became like a cult-like religion of some sorts, and this helped to jumpstart and feed his ego, it appears. The problem is that he's this undereducated, ignorant pseudo-philosopher, and for the past 15 years, whether it was that website, other online forums, or his YouTube videos, he would give very polarizing pieces of controversial and rather questionable and highly unprofessional advice. It's one thing if he had a background in religious studies, or sociological studies, or psychology, or something, but no, he gives out highly opinionated and striking, disgusting pieces of advice. One example was telling the victim of a rape to defecate or vomit during an act of rape to try to scare an individual, or completely wrong information of encouraging folks to act out as a mentally handicapped, I'm just using his words, to avoid any such attack. This is rather dangerous because if he truly knew what he was talking about, he would realize that individuals with mental impairment are at higher risk of getting taken advantage of. I know he's also posted self-help videos around topics of suicide and self-mutilation, such as cutting, which I refuse to watch because I get really offended and can only imagine the horrors of the advice that he is putting out. him or other individuals who have no mental health training in which they are not trained professionals to do so. So yeah, again, this can be rather dangerous and is indirectly making a mockery and taking advantage of one's own weakened mental state. Speaking of which, there are allegations and reports coming out, more so of this year, of his taking advantage of younger girls in weakened mental states and exhibiting such pred behavior. Again, all of these are allegations and nothing yet is confirmed, but if it's one person, I get it. Okay, maybe it's an ex who's disgruntled or someone trying to exploit Onision for money. But when you start getting to see more and more accounts that come out with the same history and proof, one's suspicions can only grow stronger, right? And these are patterns that are starting to emerge that one can see of the same repetitive victimization. I'm not going to go into specifics of this because there are dozens and dozens of videos out there that already detail and talk about this, but because of the sheer large number of accusations and more coming as the months go by, my psyche senses are raised about the probable validity behind these accusations, especially when the accusers are taking a big risk coming out with their stories from backlash from Onision's huge fan base, potentially going after the accuser. Why else would these brave women want to put their lives and or their families' lives at risk from attacks of the legion of his online fans if what they were saying were not true, right? Now, there's a pattern of his victims who have thus far come out. They, for the most part, were victimized around the ages of 14 to 16. I'm betting more than likely some of them that probably were watching his vids and more than likely idolizing him from much younger ages. From a developmental standpoint, there are 3 phases of adolescence: early, middle, and late. Preds like to sink their claws into folks who are of the early and middle stages. It's a chess game and all about control, power, and dominance. Let's talk about the 2 stages of adolescence that a lot of preds prey on. Again, not accusing Onision of being one, but their characteristics are in common with what he has done by luring and grooming these young girls, which I'll get to in a minute. Now, early adolescence is a phase between the ages of 10 to 13 where there are one experiences sexual body changes that start to occur, and kids are more aware of their surroundings and what others think about them. And you see this yearning for autonomy and independence away from their family that starts to emerge. This continues both the puberty and striving to be more independent from their immediate family. This continues into middle adolescence, which constitutes ages 14 to 16. And many of these individuals seem to be more egocentric, focus more on highly romantic and sexual relationships, seeking out for others outside their family, and seeking out for others' guidance, even complete strangers or people that they hardly even know. And even though their beliefs are wrong and irrational, early adolescents, they're more concrete, black versus white. Middle adolescents, they're more formalized thinking patterns, and they're more abstract. However, their frontal lobes have not fully matured and hence are more impulsive in comparison to that of an adult's. And the point is that a lot of times they will engage in fights with their parents because they think that they're right and will only gravitate to individuals who feeds into their narrative. And this is where the child groomer or pred comes into play. That sweet spot between the ages of 13 to 17 is the prime for their targets. Right when the curiosity of sex starts coming into these children's minds. Not to mention, adolescents have more access to the internet and computers or phones compared to that of prepubescent children, below the age of 10, for example. And as fragile as their ages are, right? Who better than someone on top of their age who's going through a lot, like psychological issues such as that being bullied, depression, or self-cutting, or sociological issues such as conflict with familial or parental objects, or lack thereof proper support. Anyone who is below the age of 18 already has an immature and weakened ego to begin with. But what better than a child with an even more weaker and fragile ego with all the issues that they're dealing with aside from normal development? For someone such as Onision to try to lure, right? And this luring is known as child grooming. Now look, I'm not trying to label Onision as a child pred or a child groomer, but when you have a grown man in his mid-20s talking to 14-year-old girls or allegedly flying out of state to have intercourse with someone who's underage, he's actually done that with his first wife. He flew out to where she was at the time. She was underage, and he flew out because she qualified for the minimum age of consent to be able to have relations in that state as opposed to the state that he was and is currently in. Or another example is, taking in a troubled 15-year-old into his house, and obtaining legal guardianship when she turned 16 years old, and exchanging explicit sexual messages, and later taking her virginity once she turned 18. You know, all of these are alleged behaviors. They all add up and are highly concerning and indicative of someone who is a groomer. Now, there's no official diagnosis of grooming disorder in the psych world, but they all share certain personality traits, which I'll get into shortly. The hallmark feature of a groomer are that they seek and target the individual. And a lot of times they try to gain the parent's trust by befriending him or her. Such was in the case when Onision's wife, Kai, did when she befriended and lured that 15-year-old, her mom, whom they later obtained the legal guardianship at age of 16, right? Groomers like to have alone time with their potential victims. And I know historically speaking in Onision's case, any fangirl who seemed infatuated with him, and if he had reciprocal interest at the time with her, he would spend a lot of alone time DMing or direct messaging her. A lot of groomers would also give gifts or money, of which he did so, I believe, such as flying them out. In a sick and twisted way, a lot of groomers will try to normalize taboo behaviors, such as the sexual exploitation of minors. As was the case with Onision, it appeared, as for many years on his website, he would rate underage girls in scantily clothes from a scale of 1 to 10 as if it were not that big of a deal, in turn also normalizing his actions, which also served to reduce any internal excessive neurosis and guilt associated with them. I'm guessing also that, and I can't confirm this for a fact, but the underage girls that were physically near him that Onision and his wife Kai lured, I'm guessing he more than likely tried to engage in some sort of unwanted physical contact, such as hugging or kissing, of which the child wasn't wanting at the time. Basically, what's going on is that these child groomers end up usually being individuals in higher positions to where they feel that they can get away with it because of their status. And a lot of times they will have an accomplice to do their dirty work. Someone to make that child or that parent of the child feel safe. Remember Jeffrey Epstein? He was a powerful, rich man, right? But if he were to go up to an underage girl or to their family, more chances than none, there would be immediate suspicion and rejection to his advances. However, his girlfriend at the time, Ghislaine Maxwell, was a perfect accomplice. She's female. She's closer to their age than that of the groomer. She can provide a maternal, nurturing role or as a gal pal companion role. She can serve to provide healthy reassurance and safety and hence normalize the entire situation. Same thing in Onision's case. Kai, or his wife, is basically that Ghislaine, and in essence, an extension of Onision's fantasy. She is the bridge to connect Onision to the underage girl. Okay, thanks guys for watching. Next week, I'm definitely dropping part 2 to this, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. So please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Part 2 is going to get more in-depth to the specific psychopathology, in addition to specific diagnoses that I believe Onision more than likely possesses, i.e. that is, if all the allegations and accusations are true and factual. So you definitely don't want to miss out on that. You know, I really hope that whomever is watching my vids, I hope that not only is it entertaining to you, but also educational. That's basically the goal of this channel. So yeah, I truly hope that you're picking up knowledge from each and every one of my vids while actually enjoying watching them. But until next time, I'll see you next week.